Have you wanted to bring in that dreamy Anthropologie look into your home this fall, but you're on a budget? Well, you're in luck. Today we are challenging ourselves to get the Anthropologie look on a shoestring budget. My daughter Ellie and I recently had a little girls' night out. We went to Disney Springs and they have an Anthropologie there. We always go there because they have such fabulous things. And of course, we've got to check out all of the new fall decor. I was feeling so inspired and loving all of their beautiful pieces. They had pumpkins, acorns, candles, dishes, plates. Everything was fabulous except for those prices. Those are pretty steep. So what I did was I just took inspiration from these pieces and I thought, you know what, I'm going to be able to make some similar items for less. The item that inspired our first Anthropologie DIY is this pumpkin cloche. Look at how cute this thing is. I love the details on it. You've got a whole bunch of choices of colors that you can pick. I don't have anything like this. I wanted one, but I did not want to pay $54 to get one. Well, I was thrifting with Natalie the other day and I happened upon a lamp. This lamp is silver and it has a blown glass center. It's a great size. I love the detailing on it and it was only $7.99. Do you guys see what I see in the center? That blown glass circle could be a pumpkin. So let's go ahead and take this lamp apart. It was super easy to disassemble. I removed the harp first, then I removed the bottom so I could get access to the screws. I twisted the screws, which loosened everything. I cut the cord, pulled the cord out, and then I was able to pull all the pieces apart. Check out all the pieces I was able to salvage from this lamp. There is a lot of possibilities when it comes to this disassembled lamp. I'm not going to be using all of these pieces today. I'll save some for next week's video, but we are going to be using that round glass globe. This is a more than perfect piece that is going to help us recreate our pumpkin cloche. We need a stem on our pumpkin. I don't have any stems just laying around, but what I do have are some leftover foam pumpkins from falls gone by. I have this orange one that I haven't used. So what I'm going to do is borrow that stem. It was so easy to remove. All I did was just pull it out. This stem is the perfect size and shape, but it's not the perfect color. So in addition to this stem, I'm also going to use a round washer from the lamp. So I've got these two pieces and I need to change the color. So what I'm going to do is use some gold leaf Rub and Buff. I added a dab of Rub and Buff to a paper towel and I began to wipe it onto the stem. I love using the Rub and Buff because it gives you the option to have some color variation. This stem is brown right now, but I want to have a little bit of that brown coming through. I don't want to completely change the color into a solid gold. So using the Rub and Buff will help me to get that color variation. Once I was done wiping that gold leaf onto the stem, I moved on to the metal round. I added more Rub and Buff to my paper towel and wiped it over the round metal piece from the lamp. I made sure that the top and the sides and the bottom was coated in the layer of this Rub and Buff. And then I let both of these pieces dry for 20 minutes. I'm going to poke that stem through the circle in the center of our metal round. As I did that, I saw that that stem was far too long, so I needed to trim it up. I just got a pair of scissors and I cut it to the correct size. Now I can glue it to the opening at the top of my glass. So I'm going to be using some E6000. I added the E6000 to the opening of the glass circle. Then I pressed the round metal circle into the glue. I added more E6000 to the bottom of the pumpkin stem and then pressed that right into the center of the metal piece. Then I let the glue dry overnight. Tell me that this is not a spitting image of our Anthropologie pumpkin cloche. Look at how fabulous this is. I love the size, I love the color, I love the shape. I love that our stem has some color variation, and I love that the color tone on the glass is opaque. It fits into our fall theme. Now our pretty glass cloche has a hole at the bottom. And what I'm going to do is get a marble coaster. I've got a small white candle. I'm going to place that in the center of the white coaster. Then I'm going to take my pumpkin cloche and I'm simply going to place that over the top of our candle. And look at how fabulous this is. Who knew that a thrifted lamp would be the key to help us to create a pumpkin cloche? I feel like this is what it was always meant to be. This is a fun autumn decorative piece that will be beautiful on any display. It was so affordable to make, and we will definitely be using more of those thrifted lamp pieces in future projects. Anthropologie, and all the candles are on clearance, plus an extra 40% off. So look at this pretty candle. I love it. Isn't it pretty? It's perfect for fall. Let's unbag our pretty Anthropologie candle that we got. I am so excited for this thing, you guys. Oh, they wrapped it up really good. Okay, let's take a closer look at it. First of all, look at the pinks and the mauves on this candle. What I love about this is that they are much more muted and they're perfect for fall. And not only is it pretty, but it smells good. This is Apple Blossom and Amber. And let's talk about the price of this candle. It was on sale, and then you guys saw that it was 40% off. So I'm gonna grab my receipt. The grand total was $25.53. That is such a great price for an Anthropologie candle. They can be so pricey. In fact, I have found some other candles there in the past. This one I got a couple months ago. It's a Volupsa Rose Auto. It smells so good. It doesn't smell like leftover perfume that you found that's 20 years old. It smells like fresh roses. This one was in the clearance aisle, and then I got this giant candle there maybe a year or two ago. I love this candle so much. The cutouts along the outside of this ceramic container are stunning, and it's huge. This was also on clearance. The original price was over $100, and I got it for a fraction of that cost. So when you go to stores, especially high-end stores, check and see if they have a clearance section, because you can find some amazing treasures in there, and you can definitely save yourself some money. So let's go back to our newest Anthropologie candle. It is stunning, but we want to display it in a stunning way. So what I'm going to do is get a cloche. We definitely have cloches on the brain today, but this particular cloche was one that I bought last Christmas time. It's from the thrift store, and it originally had a clock inside. I removed the clock, and then I spray painted the base gold. The actual glass dome on this cloche is pretty plain, so we are going to add a fall detail to it. Now I'm going to be using my Cricut maker, but you guys, you do not have to have a vinyl cutter to do this project. You can use stickers, you can use stencils, because all a vinyl stencil is anyway is just a giant sticker. The only reason why I love using my Cricut is because I can get a custom design, but I will look on Amazon and see if I can find either a stencil or a sticker that is similar to this fall vine that I chose to go over the top of our cloche. So what I did was I had my Cricut maker cut out this fall vine design on some removable vinyl. And what I'm going to do is remove the design itself, because we are creating a stencil. So I weeded away the design, and then I got some transfer tape and I placed that over the top and then removed the paper backing. Now I'm going to take my stencil and I'm going to place it on one side of my cloche. I actually made two of these designs so that I could put one on either side of the cloche. I am pressing my design firmly to the glass, and then I removed the transfer tape. Then I just pressed it again firmly to the glass, and I actually had to cut it in a couple of places because Our glass cloche is domed at the top, so because it has some curvature to it, I had to make a few cuts so that the vinyl would lay flat. Once I was finished adding the design to the first side of the cloche, I flipped it around and I added the vinyl stencil to the opposite side. We need to make sure that everything but the exposed areas on the stencil are covered up. So I'm just going to use that transfer tape as tape, and I'm covering up any other exposed areas on the cloche. And now the only thing that is exposed is the stencil itself. There are two ways that you can get a frosted look on your glass. The first is to use some etching cream. I used that most recently when I took a thrifted vase and I turned it into an apothecary jar. But if you're going to use a Dollar Tree vase, make sure you use this frosted glass finish because the etching cream will not work on Dollar Tree vases. I don't know if this particular cloche is 100% glass or not, and I am not gonna risk it. I'm not gonna go through all this trouble to put etching cream on it to have it not work. So we are going to err on the side of caution and just use the frosted glass finish. So I took my cloche outside and I sprayed the exposed areas with a thin layer of the frosted glass finish. Once the first fall design had been coated in the frosted glass finish, I twisted my cloche around and sprayed the second side. I'm doing light coats because you do not want this to clump, pool, or drip. If you spray too much on in the first coat, it will definitely drip. Once this first layer had been sprayed onto my cloche, I let it dry for 20 minutes. Because I want this vine design to be very visible, I'm actually going to be spraying on a second coat of this frosted glass finish. Again, it's just a thin coat, very light. I sprayed the second coat on the exposed areas. If you want a more transparent look, go with one coat. If you want a darker design, then go with 2 or 3 coats. Once this second coat had been sprayed on, I let it dry for an hour. Now I can remove the removable vinyl and the transfer tape to reveal our beautiful fall vine design. Look at how stunning this is, you guys. Those leaves and the vines are absolutely gorgeous. I was able to take a plain glass dome and completely transform it with a little bit of a frosted glass finish paint. And the best part is I had this at home. I didn't spend any additional money and I got it for a bargain at the thrift store back in the day. So this is certainly a fantastic decor piece that was an affordable way to get a seasonal piece of decor. Now's the moment of truth. Let's put our candle inside of our cloche. Just gonna place it right inside and pop our cloche right over the top. Look at how beautiful that looks. The candle was so pretty originally, but it looks so much more elegant in this cloche. What I love about this cloche is that it is see-through, so you can still see those beautiful flowers and leaves on the Anthropologie candle. And because it's opaque, it's just a whisper of fall. Pairing these two pieces together enhances both of them. It adds whimsy and seasonality to our decor. We were definitely able to give our upscale candle an upscale way to be displayed. If you are looking for decorating inspiration, interior design ideas, affordable look for less, or creative DIY decor, then you have come to the right place. I post new weekly videos and I have so many fabulous fall and holiday videos coming up, so make sure you're subscribed so you can get all the inspiration you need to decorate your home beautifully. I actually did not see this next Anthropologie idea at the store itself, but I did see it online. And it is these pretty pumpkin tapered candles. Look at how absolutely adorable these candles are. And for some reason, I've had pink on the brain this fall season. I used a pink fall design to Mod Podge to the bottom of this tray last week. And I've actually had a couple of you send me photos of your version of this duped runner. I purchased this runner on the Amazon haul website for around $4, and I linked it, and plenty of you bought it, but a lot of you bought it in pink, which I think is so cute. So I was definitely inspired by several of you to go in a pink direction today, and these candles definitely lead the way. And if you want your own $4 runner, I will leave a link in my description box. All right, so the first thing that we need is some pink pumpkins. I have this book of scrapbook paper, and I took advantage of some of it last week. You just saw that tray. I used some paper from this book of scrapbook paper. But guess what, you guys? I was scrolling through this scrapbook paper once again, and I found, oh, there it is. Oh, come back. This. Look at that, you guys. Look how cute those little pumpkins are. These are perfect for our candles. How lucky are we? And I didn't have to buy anything additional because I already had this book of scrapbook paper, which I bought at Michael's. So what I'm going to do is cut out these pumpkins individually. I got a pair of scissors and I cut out individual pumpkins for our candle. These pumpkins are the perfect size. We want miniature pumpkins because the pumpkins on the Anthropologie candlesticks are mini. I'm going to be embellishing 2 tapered candles, so I need 5 paper pumpkins per candlestick. The tapered candles that I'm using, I originally purchased at Walmart. I have a whole bunch of candles from Ellie and Mac's open house. My whole house was lit up with candles. So yes, these candles have been used once before, no problem. They don't need to be brand new and pristine. So I'm just taking advantage once again of something I already had at home. You may be wondering how we're going to adhere these paper pumpkins to our candles. Well, what we're gonna need to do that is some parchment paper and an iron. I'm going to set my iron to a medium heat. You don't want it to be too hot, otherwise it will disfigure and melt the candles. What I'm going to do is take my first mini paper pumpkin, I'm going to press it to the candlestick. Then I'm going to get some parchment paper and wrap the paper pumpkin and the candle in the parchment paper. Then I'm going to take my iron and press it to the paper. I move the iron around slowly. Keep that iron moving. If you stop, it will disfigure your candle. So keep it moving slowly and surely until the paper melts into the wax. And then I unravel the parchment paper and check that out, you guys. The paper pumpkin sticks to the candlestick. Now, I've actually done this process in the past with some napkins, and it worked really well. I was a little skeptical about the paper because the paper is thicker than a napkin, but it worked. So I just simply moved on to my next pumpkin. I placed that second pumpkin on my candlestick, wrapped it in parchment paper, took my iron and slowly ran it across the surface of the paper pumpkin. If your pumpkin doesn't adhere, then you may want to turn up the heat just a little bit, test out the heat level, but try and keep it as low as you possibly can so it doesn't completely melt the candle. And we are done with our first candle. Look at how cute this thing is. And now I'm just going to repeat this process on my second candlestick. I placed that paper pumpkin on the candlestick, wrapped it in the parchment paper, and then fused it to the candlestick with the iron. Look at how cute these candlesticks are. I cannot believe how well this turned out. This is such an easy and affordable way to get a high-end looking piece of home decor. And you can literally let your imagination run wild in coming up with different designs for these candles. You could do the tapered candles like I have, but you could get some big fat candles and put pumpkins on that. You could obviously choose any color of candle or any paper design or napkin design to fuse to your candles. I'm using the tall tapered candles to mimic the Anthropologie candles. I'm going to take my pumpkin candles and I'm going to place them in some tall, slender gold candlesticks. The candlesticks make these candles look regal. And I love the gold because that goes in with our fall color tone. We were able to get the Anthropologie look on these candles for so cheap. All I needed was a candle, paper, parchment paper, and an iron. That's it. And now we have some beautiful custom pieces of home decor for fall. Look at how fabulous all of our Anthropologie-inspired pieces of fall home decor look grouped together. We've got our tall pumpkin candlesticks in the back, we've got our thrifted pumpkin cloche down in the front, and we have our stunning Anthropologie candle displayed in our gorgeous domed cloche. We were definitely able to get the high-end look for so much less today. So if you are at a high-end store and you do not want to pay those high-end prices, just take a picture of the pieces that you love and then let your creativity take over from there. You can find some substitutes at different stores, at thrift stores. Just rummage through your closets at home and see what you have. And don't forget to check out the clearance section because they might have some treasures there for you at a discount. I think that we proved today that you can live beautifully, you can get that high-end designer look for a fraction of the cost. Natalie pointed out to me that I accidentally said that today was going to be the thrift flip video. I misspoke. It's actually going to be next Thursday, but it really is going to be next Thursday. So Natalie and I went thrifting and we got some special treasures that we are going to flip into some fall pieces of home decor. So make sure you're subscribed so you won't miss out on that video or any of the other seasonal videos that I have coming up. Well, I hope you got some inspiration or some ideas today. I appreciate you stopping by. Thank you so much for watching.